Hello, everyone. Welcome to the August meeting of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. We do have a quorum. However, Vice Chair Erdachik is on the East Coast, and Catherine Hensky has just come home from surgery. So we'll start with 15 of us instead of 17. First on our agenda will be the Honolulu Fire Department. Fire Department, ready?
Good evening, Captain Abaya at Waikīkī Fire Station. Statistics for July. We had one wildland brush fire, one nuisance call, one activated alarm with 24 activated alarms with no fire. We had 167 medical calls, 3 motor vehicle collisions with pedestrians, 6 motor vehicle crash collisions, and 1 hazardous materials incident. We do have a update on, back in June, we were asked about propane tanks with the food trucks that reside on Cartwright Road. And let's see, our HFD Codes East Fire Inspector went to the site on Tuesday, June 17th, with the building inspector and electrical inspector from Honolulu Department of Planning and Permitting. So Cartwright Road is a privately owned street in the Waikīkī district. And the city inspectors observed 5 mobile food establishments on the street, Mauka of the Scandia Towers, which are located at 155 Huakalani Ave. The food trucks may be allowed to operate on the Cartwright Road since it's privately owned and if permitted by the street owner. But they are still subject to fire code requirements for mobile establishments. I think that the time when this was written, none of them were open at the time. But they did observe while they were there, the propane tanks that you mentioned, and they were not secured in the upright position. So since then, I think we drove by there, I think last week. It looks like 4 of those 5 trucks have moved on. I think there's one there still in the corner. So our inspectors are still working with the owner of the road and making sure they follow the guidelines of the fire code. So we're still working with them to make sure everything falls in line. But I guess the trucks are allowed. If you do see the propane tanks, the main thing with the propane tanks is that they're secured with a chain. So basically with those, you just don't want them to be able to tip over. So we're still working with them on making sure they follow that. But right now, that's the utmost.
Okay, I invited Ryoko, she's in the back, and just to meet with you. So she's the board president at the Cabana at Waikīkī, which is right next door to Scandia. And so I was gonna just connect you with her in case there's another issue with the trucks or the propane or getting in and out of there, if that's okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and thank you for following up on that.
That's it. Anybody have questions?
Questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Members of the audience, questions? Members of the board, questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Greg?
I just wanted to thank the fire department for coming out. It's about a week ago, a little over a week ago, maybe. I just was taking a walk to go shopping, and I had my Sam's bags on my shoulder. I usually walk over there from where I live. And there was a little baby chicken that came out. There's the dad, the rooster. I didn't see the mom, and I could hear sounds of little babies. And 2 had fallen into a grate with large openings and fell down. First time I called, they didn't come out, but it was just kind of, for me, I'm an animal lover, so it was a little horrific to see these 2 babies that were going to die down there. But your team came out just around the corner, it wasn't far, and they lifted up the grate, and they were able to save the 2 babies. So there were 3 total. The one was trying to walk away, and he didn't know what to do. And it was a good story, and they have a new home. Actually, one of the the fireman actually has chickens on his property. So I made sure he took them. He was able to take them onto his property when he got off duty. So it was an excellent story. And I just want to give a shout out to thank you guys for doing that. And I have a lot of photos. Someday I can share with the board. I can send an email to share. So thank you very much.
Any further questions for the Honolulu Fire Department? Anything on there? No. Thank you for being with us tonight. Please keep up the good work. Next is the Honolulu Police Department.
Hey, good morning for myself. Good evening to all you guys. I'm Lieutenant Kinagawa for Night Watch for District 6. I'll be going over the stats for July. This month for robberies, we had 1, where previously we had 7. For burglaries, this month we had 12, or July we had 12, previously we had 10. Thefts for July were 133, where previously it was 122. UMVs, 13, previously were 9. Assaults for July were 43, where previously it was 30. Sex crimes for July was 4, previously was also 4. For bikes, skateboards on sidewalks for July was 5, previously it was 4. Speeding, we have 0, previously we had 2 citations. For parking, we had 2,332, where previously we had 1,808. For loud muffler prohibited noise, for July, we had 4, previously we had 14. Park closures, we had 74 citations and 22 arrests, where previously we had 87 and 14 arrests. Total calls for service for July were 4,400, previously was 4,419. And for those of you interested in the OVUII arrests, we had 17 for July. Thank you.
Questions for the Honolulu Police Department from the audience? Sir, please use a microphone over there.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Dr. Nathaniel Apatow. I'm a neuroscientist, pseudo-retired. Had I known that the cool kids were going to have name placards, I would have brought mine, so I apologize for that. My question is about noise at the zoo parking lot. I've done a lot of research in my career regarding the effects of noise on animals, and I think that it's unconscionable the amount of noise that occurs in the zoo parking lot. I've called, and my wife's called on numerous occasions at all hours of the day and night, and I think it's really deleterious for the animals that are living there. If I can hear noise as though it's in my kitchen on the 11th floor of my building, I can only imagine the amount of harmful noise that occurs to the zoo animals. And I think we need to do a better job and figure out how to keep that from happening. It's animal abuse, and I think it's unconscionable. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you for your input.
This is basically what Friday and Saturday nights you're talking about? Every night? Thank you. John?
Yeah, as a follow-up to that, last month we brought this up, did some research. That zoo is under the umbrella of the Kapulani Trust, and the city and county runs the zoo. And the parking lot is a franchise, a business that the zoo or the city awards to a franchisee. Because it's a franchisee, the city has a little bit less control over it. At the same time, the city is ultimately responsible for it. I learned that they have security guards at the zoo that protect the animals and integrity of the zoo. They're supposed to be calling you guys every time something goes on, but apparently they're not. I will tell you, for the people who don't live by the zoo, this is military grade torture music that is blasted out, where it wakes me up out of a sound sleep. If it was just regular music, it wouldn't bother me. And it's just, the people that are doing it intentionally to prove some type of a point. Just like the people with the mufflers that backfire and the motorcycles that race up and down the street. There's some type of psychological or sexual problem with those people where they have to do this constantly. Some of them are over 50 years old and they have to have, these motorcycles with backfiring noise. But they're like, they should be locked up maybe in a psychiatric center. But I will tell you that that we will pursue the cruelty to animals angle, because when a band plays in a parade like Kalakaua, they have to stop playing music at Kapahulu. And I'm always going, what happened? And if I found out, there's a guy with a sign, you can't play band music in a parade past Kapahulu because it bothers the animals. So if the parade bothers the animals, this military torture grade music has to be really screwing them up. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Other concerns from the audience, Craig, followed by the board. We'll be up here in a minute.
Yeah, I just want to echo that concern that was shared by John. There's an ordinance that is easy to cite and enforce, hearing the noise a certain distance. And it just seems to be that we don't enforce that. So I know there's the muffler exhaust noise thing. That's a little different. But music that's being played, especially if it's blaring music, it needs to be addressed. So I know there's a board member that knows a little more about this and they'll share that. But it's just concerning that nothing's happening if these issues keep getting reported over and over. So hopefully we can get to a better place.
Tim?
Hi, good evening. I haven't met you two officers, but I think I've talked to everybody else. Could you please keep an eye on the cement picnic tables in front of the Marriott? That's the cause for a lot of your problems down here. Talk to the mayor, the managing director, Major Ogata, Trevor with the Waikīkī business. If you go back and you look at the records, that's where all your work is, right there. And you guys, with the exception of a couple officers, get out of their car and actually walk and catch them. But a lot of you officers just drive by, and if fireworks aren't blowing off, you don't stop. This has been going on for 4 years. Mayor Blangiardi's well aware of it, to the point where, because you guys haven't been able to correct the situation, they're going to take out the cement tables, which I think is stupid. Why don't you take out the lurkers that are the cause of the problem? So like I said, I haven't seen you two down there walking. I'm down here every day. We keep a track of these people. We'd be happy to share with you all the arrests and the revolving door down at the courthouse, which is not your problem. But they are the cause of so much anguish down here. We can, after the meeting or right now, we can take a walk down there and you can observe it for yourself. Thank you.
I don't see any more hands in the audience. Sarah, you had a question?
Hello. Actually, I wanted to address the parking lot issue because when people bring up issues, even if it's not my sub-district, I like to do research. I like to address it. So you're right. John Deutschman mentioned last month, the issue was brought up and HBD said, if it's really loud, you can call and they can intervene. However, I actually called the owner of that parking lot. It's Pro Service, Pro Park INC, and they actually lease it from the state. So I spoke with Jordan, really nice guy. I asked him if he'd be willing to work with the community, maybe meet with HBD and figure out a way to deal with it. Because I know other businesses have had where they authorize someone to trespass. They don't have to be the owner of the property. They're just an agent who has the paperwork that says, oh, this person's needs to be trespassed, which enables HPD to intervene, because the problem was last month, he's pointed out, he's like, hey, it's private property. I can't just go onto it. It's not county, it's not. So, but there are some issues with that. So Jordan did bring up, he's concerned about company liability, but the fact that he really wants to work with the community and HPD, I'm sure we can figure out a solution. Hopefully when Catherine feels better, you know, she can take the lead on that, because I know she actually has gone over there and like filmed with her husband, the you know, the motorcycle. So yeah, that's it.
Other questions from the audience, from the board? Go ahead. Sorry.
Hi. As a retired police officer in the mainland, I thank you for protecting and serving the city and county of Honolulu. I have a couple of questions dealing with citations. Specifically parking. Just out of curiosity, is this total just parking enforcement officers or just patrol officers or both? And if both,
It's just our patrol,
Just
or the
patrol
active
officers.
patrol, not the parking enforcement.
okay, great, thank you. And then second question dealing with citations is for HPD officers' performance evaluations, I assume it's yearly.
Correct.
Are the number of citations that the officer issues, is that part of their performance evaluation?
No.
No.
We do monthly stats for each officers, so we look at that as a total for performance. However, it's not stated specifically in the performance evaluation.
Okay, so the total number of citations per officer is documented, just not part of the
Correct.
performance evaluation.
It's not in the actual performance evaluation. However, we do stats monthly for each individual officer for within ourselves.
Okay, and then last question, last meeting, there was a request by a board member for somebody from HPD to possibly bring ride-along request forms.
Oh, okay.
Did that message get passed along? Do you
It
have that,
didn't.
Bill?
However, you can go online, there on our website. It's under our Community Affairs Division for the ride-along request. And I know at nights, we've been taking several, you know, during the month from prosecutors, a whole bunch of different areas. So it's basically a very simple application, and they do a quick background check and then approve it. And then it gets assigned to one of the watches for the ride-alongs. I will be at the next meeting, so now I know I'll bring some of those if I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Only one's online, because I actually called
Okay.
the HPD. I was like, hey, could you maybe post it, the second one online? But she said actually had to go into the main office to main headquarters. So if you could bring in, there's one is available online, but the second one is not. So if you could bring,
Yeah, and I believe you'll
That'd be
still have
great.
to drop them off there. However, but I can see what I can do if I can bring those.
that'd be great.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
Hi, Shannon Smith. I just real quick, has been noticing a lot more along Kalakaua that are out singing on these ridiculous microphones on the sidewalk. And I thought that was not, I actually called twice to report because there didn't, and one day there was a whole string of officers and they were right across the street and it was like so loud. The people, I would have been pissed if I was trying to have dinner at Cheesecake. It was absolutely ridiculous. So am I correct that that's not allowed?
At certain instances, you know, beyond religious, that kind of things. We did have several operations this last month for peddling and people without licenses being on the sidewalks doing certain things where we actually had plainclothes officers going around and taking
Thank
care
you.
of it on that way too as well.
Thank you.
Sarah, thank you for looking into the parking lot thing. If you can talk Catherine into doing some kind of committee, I would be willing to help. Just to give you an idea, that parking lot at the zoo, I sleep with the AC on and the doors closed and a noise machine. And it sounded like I called as well last weekend. It sounds like it is in the kitchen, and I'm Makiailana and Denny's away from the zoo parking lot. So, and on the 18th floor. So it's 2 buildings, 18 floors up, and it sounds like it's in your kitchen.
I do have a question. I had 2 separate issues. John, you said that was city and Sarah said that was state.
Yeah, what I was told by Dita Hollyfield and who runs Enterprise Services, that the city and county of Honolulu is responsible for the zoo, not the state. And the city gave this franchise of the parking lot to a private company. So somebody's making business, making money from the parking lot. And if you're running a business, the business has a responsibility to the community not to allow this to happen. The other little thing is I heard that one of my neighbors, I won't rat him out, not Nate, but one of our good friends had an extra car and he parked it there for a year and never got a ticket at night. So apparently they're not enforcing the parking at night there, which explains a lot too.
Thank you. We'll see. Any other questions for the Honolulu Police Department? See. Oh, sorry, I didn't see your hand. Please use the microphone.
Just to change the tone a little bit, I'd like to say thank you for your difficult and challenging work. Mahalo.
Thank you.
Thank you. I don't see any more hands or on the screen or anywhere, but thank you for being with us tonight. We look forward to seeing you next month. Board of Water Supply, Dominic Diaz.
Good evening, Dominic Diaz with the Honolulu Board of Water Supply. First, I just wanted to note that I brought along some pamphlets with some general information about the Board of Water Supply. I know a couple months ago, we reported that the annual water quality reports were available. I left a stack in the back if anyone's interested. It's got information on the water supply system, how we get groundwater. It's got conservation tips, ideas on how to do a home audit to check for leaks, important contact information numbers, and a bunch of other information about the Board of Water Supply. I'm still encouraging people, if you're interested, you can always go to our website, boardofwatersupply.com, click on the water quality tab, and you can put in your address and it'll give you a full chemical analysis for the biannual testing that we do of all of our water sources. It'll tell you everything that showed up in your water, what level it's at, what the maximum contaminant levels allowed by the EPA and state drinking water standards are. So all that information is available for everybody. We are mailing them out twice a year, but I understand a lot of people here may not receive a water bill. So at any point you can go in and put in your address and you'll get a full report for your location. There was another question at the time, just in water in general, like where does our water come from in Waikīkī? So I did a quick search. So I looked at 300 Wainani Way, which is this facility right across the street here. And I don't know if you're familiar with Board of Water Supply sources. We've got sources all over the island. But for the most part, Waikīkī currently, no, this is after shutting down Halawa Shaft and the whole Red Hill incident. Halawa Shaft provided a lot of water to metropolitan Honolulu before we shut it down. So currently this area is fed by wells at Kalawao. So I'm not sure if you are familiar, but that's the Pearl Golf Course. So above on the Mauka side of the freeway above Pearl Ridge, we've got a big battery of wells there, as well as, sorry, my writing's so messy. Our Kalihi Shaft. If you're familiar with Cam 4 Road in Kalihi, we've got a base yard there that's got a major shaft source on site. Wilder Wells, which is tucked away right behind the 7-Eleven near Punahou School there on Wilder Ave. And the final source feeding this area is Punanani Wells, which is also in the Pearl City area. So just below Newtown off of Komomai Drive. And it doesn't seem to make sense, but I'll try and explain in 30 seconds how the island works. Most of the water on this island is located in the Pearl Harbor Aquifer sector. So the central portion of the leeward side of the island, so this side of the Ko'olaus, is the robust aquifer system. East Honolulu has no sources. West Oahu, so Waianae, Makaha, Maili, Nanakuli has very limited sources. So the majority of the island is pumped from the center of the island outward. So those are the extents of the system. So a lot of the water in Waipahu, Kunia feeds down into Eva. Mililani has its own sort of sources, but the Pearl Harbor Aquifer tends to supply a lot of the metropolitan portion of the island. So you'll see, if you were to look at a flow, it sort of flows out to the extremities of the island. If anybody has any questions, oh, let me get to the report. Sorry. This would be applicable to Waikīkī. We are launching a water wisdom program. So our water wisdom program is aimed at condominiums, townhouses, and residences, and it's a program available to provide guidance on water efficiency. So we're able to meet with resident managers, property owners, and provide insights on how to go about doing an audit of your property, how to go about replacing with more high efficient water fixtures, reducing consumption, conserving the resource. We have free audits for kupuna residents, so 60 years and older. We're providing that as a service. And all the information is available at boardofwatersupply.com/waterwisdom. At this time, I'd be happy to take any questions on behalf of the Board of Water Supply.
Jeff?
Hey, Dominic, this is kind of random, but about a year ago, you mentioned the tunnels and stuff. I took a tour of the tunnels with a group. Do you guys still offer that to the public at all? Because that was incredibly informative and fascinating.
Is that the Haight and the Windward side?
It was Ko'olau's in
Yeah,
the
so-
tunnels way in there, and then we climbed in, and then there was that big, huge.
Yeah, there's a big bulkhead, and behind the water,
Yeah.
the water's built up. I know there are still tours. What I'm not positive of it is it's open to the general public or just groups. Like, yeah, I think it's available for specific groups, schools, educational groups, organizations. Right? Perhaps a neighborhood board could request a tour. Yeah, I'm not sure, but you can always call our communications office, 748-5041, and they sort of administer the program in setting up these tours. They've got a person who does a great tour. He, is very cognizant of the cultural value of water and the area, and, really kind of makes it really interesting. So yeah, definitely look into it.
Other questions for the Board of Water Supply? Tim?
Yeah, I brought this up, I don't know, 6 months ago. And I spoke with Ernie Lau on the desal plan. Has there been any progress in this? Because you just rattled off, where the water comes from. The west side, it seems to be the least amount. And it's also the highest for fire. So I made the point before, we're surrounded by 2,000 miles of water. Many countries in the world have desal plants. You can look it up on Google. Why aren't we being more progressive? The west side, you go out there, it's totally a fire hazard area. You put a desal plant out there, it'll look like the west side of Maui. Golf courses, all green, no fire. Why are we being so caveman? Thank you.
Sure, I'll answer a couple of the parts there. So related to fire, we are aware of the issues with the west side and, at all costs trying to avoid a Lahaina situation here on Oahu. We have been coordinating with Hawaiian Electric and the fire department. We just had a 2-day workshop looking at incident-specific response planning efforts related to fire, generating capital projects to bolster the system for future fire protection. Regarding desal, we are neck deep. I know we spoke before. We were in the very early stages when we spoke. We are currently running a series of tests. We've been through all the pilot testing. We've met water quality standards. We've successfully produced desalinated water on bench scale testing levels that would have no impact to the system. So we are in design. We're about 90% through design efforts. We are faced with a lot of regulatory permitting. So, it's not a fast process, but we are fully committed to constructing this desalination plant. And like you said, water resources are not infinite. The Water Commission is looking at possibly adjusting sustainable yields. No one suspects that those will be raised. The suspicion is they will in fact be decreased. So alternative water sources become more important at that point. And we are fully investigating that. We also still looking to expand our recycled water system, which currently we're at about 12 million gallons a day of taking wastewater and turning it into irrigation grade and industrial grade water for the Eva and Campbell industrial areas. So appreciate the comment, but we are trucking along. I'll keep you posted. I'll make note to keep you updated every month when I show up.
Go ahead.
Hi. Maybe I missed it, and I don't want to prolong your report any longer than it has to be, but what is desal? I might have missed what that is. What does that even mean?
As a process?
Yes, what is?
So
what does that
we've
mean?
got several very deep ocean wells on the coastline in the Campbell industrial area. We will pump up salt water. We will run it through filtration and reverse osmosis processes to remove everything from it, basically turned it into RO, reverse osmosis water, which has absolutely nothing in it. And then we will remineralize that water to match the existing water in the system, so that as that source water blends with water from existing sources, it's not some kind of a funky interaction between two different qualities of water. So basically, it would be a seamless transition to supplement our existing groundwater potable source waters.
That's fantastic. Thank you.
Any other questions for Board of Water Supply? Don't see any. Dominic, thanks
All
for
right,
being
thank you.
with us again. See you next month.
Sorry, I had a quick question, actually.
Oh, I'm
but
sorry.
That's okay. No, it's all right.
Got to raise your hand a little higher.
I know. Sorry, first time.
Dominic, I'm sorry, he had one more
Sorry,
question.
just a
for you.
quick question. My apologies. Corey DeRazio. I know like on other islands, especially Big Island and Maui, they've had issues with droughts and they've had to turn off water sources or severely reduce it. So based on, I know our summer has been quite dry. Are there any expectancies in terms of maybe doing that on Oahu, or has that happened in the past? Like most recently?
Most recently, it hasn't happened. Prior to my starting at the board, I understand in the 80s, there may have been some moratoriums, not necessarily a shut off or limitation, but deferral of approvals for growth. So permitted, construction. That said, it has been a very hot year. We are in a very long-term drought situation for the whole state, decades. There are wet periods, so a lot of people see heavy rains and drought goes out the back. But as a trend over decades, we are in a very long-term drought situation. Recharge especially for Oahu, as we construct, recharge is minimalized. You pave, you cover surfaces, the amount of recharge is diminished. So I didn't make my plea this month. I usually do it please be mindful of your water usage. Check your home. Those leaking toilets are a nemesis. You don't understand how much water can be wasted just on a $3 flapper valve replacement, but it all adds up. So we, as usual, beg everybody to be mindful of your water usage.
Thank you.
Thank you. I understand you told us before it takes, 10 years from the time that rain hits
The general thought is that it's actually 25 years from rainfall landing on the surface to percolate down through all the layers to become groundwater that shows up in our well sources that we use. But as you experience extended drought, grounds become less accepting of groundwater. They become, they're not able to take the amount of groundwater that they would if it was healthy, right? If you were under normal. So all of it leads to sort of a diminished resource rejuvenation. So please conserve.
Thank you again. At this point, we have our citizens' concerns, items not on the agenda. This is for the audience. Do we have concerns that are not on the agenda? Yes, ma'am. You had your hand up. Please use the microphone. And please speak into the microphones like this so we can record it. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Sally Manglip-Mott. I'm a resident of Waikīkī in support of no trash pickup before 6 a.m. All of you have been included in an email thread to Deputy Managing Director Krishna Jayaram that began on July 16. He wants to have a mini town hall meeting to discuss the issue of early morning trash pickup. Please consider contributing as a Waikīkī resident to the email thread by questioning Mr. Jayaram about the justification of 3 o'clock in the morning trash pickup. Should there be a mini town hall meeting, I urge you to attend that meeting both as a unified board and as residents, Waikīkī residents, to strongly support the efforts to resolve this issue. There's no justification for trash pickup in Waikīkī beginning at 3 a.m. All of the objections to having trash haulers begin at 6 a.m. have been shown to be baseless. So please lift your voices as both neighborhood board members and residents of the Waikīkī community to end way too early morning trash pickup that never should have begun. Thank you.
Thank you. Other concerns? Yes, please.
Gloria Steiner, and I'm going to piggyback on what she said, kind of. A couple months ago, I came here and another gentleman spoke about this same subject. And it's been a subject that's been on and on and on. And as I said at that meeting, I'm going to repeat myself. I went out and I did research about trash pickup in cities of this size. And what I found was all cities of this size, most other than Cleveland, Ohio, pick up trash 24/7. And that's because there is too many other things going on to try and put trash trucks on the streets in the middle of the daytime in every neighborhood. And there's not enough trash trucks for it. If you can come up with a solution and take it to someone and do a schedule that they can all live with, God bless you. But as far as I can see, trash pickup 24/7 is just a fact of life in a large city. Thank you.
Great.
Greg Nasakian. I'm not sure where the last person that spoke got the data from, but I've done my own research, and there are states throughout our nation that have regulations for trash pickup. So I'm not sure. I'd like to see the data, but I can also provide my data at some point. What we do know, though, I also serve as president of the Kokua Council, which is Kapuna focused. And what we do know, which is fact, researched, documented, is that this pervasive noise that goes on for sometimes an hour plus when these trash trucks come, it's not just 10 minutes or 15 minutes. It goes on and on and on, because I've experienced it. I still experience it where I live. That goes up to my condo. It does cause harm to people's health. So mental health issues, Alzheimer's issues, patients that have Alzheimer's, it's detrimental to them. The research has shown that. So it's important that this board, who's very focused in some cases on noise, for muffler noise, looks at all of the noise. So now we're looking at the zoo. That's great. There's noise there. Let's just resolve the aspects of the mental health aspects, It's just common sense. And if this board can maybe form a committee to discuss, health impacts to community, that would be great. I suggest that. Thank you.
Thank you. Tim, did you have something?
I'm curious of everybody here. Anybody drive up Kapahulu ever? Go that way? Do you appreciate the homeless camp that's been at the Alloy Golf Course for 4.5, 5 months? You know, the city put up, they already had signs up there. No overnight camping, no tents, no nothing. But that wasn't good enough because HPD wasn't enforcing it. So the city went through and put up new signs. I have pictures of them. No trespassing. That was a week and a half ago. No trespassing. What does that mean to you? Does that mean go in and put a tent up with your stolen bicycles? Go to the bathroom along the fence of the Alloy? Make it so that people can't even walk or are scared to walk there? That was one issue. I urge everybody here, you all pay property taxes, I'm sure, even if you rent, part of your rent goes to property taxes. But the city allows this to go on. And the people over there called the city's bluff. They know they're not going to do anything. I don't understand why we would even buy new signs. The old signs, we jump through hoops and nothing gets done. So I urge everybody, if you appreciate that kind of thing in your community, fine, I guess. That's your opinion. But somebody that drives up and down and by there all the time, it's just right over on the other side. You can't miss it. The other issue, I don't know if I'm going to have time later, was just quick on Kuhio bus thing. I know you're going to do a presentation. Bob, I'm going to go to Home Depot and buy the paint thinner. If you want to come
The
and help.
paint is gone. It's gone. Give it to the homeless. John?
Follow up to Tim, I know Jeff was interviewed by the paper about the nature of that camp. A couple of weeks ago, we had an armed robbery at a 7-Eleven in Waikīkī, and the perpetrator was found living in that camp. They had a police line all around the place. They could never find the gun, and the charges were reduced or whatever. People living at that camp, I know some of them personally. I know that 77% of the arrests in Waikīkī are people who live on the street. I can't say that they're the ones committing all the crimes, but they're responsible for most of our arrests. There's 60 people that have been arrested 3 times or more since September 6th. They're not a bunch of Boy Scouts, they're not a bunch of angels, and most of them present a danger to the community. Okay, so this ongoing mantra that, oh, they're just people who just got kicked out of their house and they just need help, and even though 99% refuse help over and over and over again for the last 20 years, that ballgame is over. Okay, that ballgame's over. From the White House on down, that ballgame's over. That stuff doesn't work. It's time to put the community first and the safety of the community first. And Jeff, if you want to know the records of the people in there, I've got them. I would never go there at night. I would never tell anybody in my family to walk by there day or night. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Other concerns from our residents? See not any on there. Okay. I'm gonna have to send another letter to Board 5, but anyway. Moving on. The events scheduled for major parades and street events, and the times are as scheduled. They may close half an hour earlier for staging. Each one is different. Saturday, September 6th, 2 p.m. to midnight, the Waikīkī Street Jam. Saturday, September 20th, 2 p.m. to 1 a.m. Aloha Festivals, Waikīkī, Ho'olaulea. It's a street event. I know it will not go till 1 a.m. Saturday, September 27th, 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. The Aloha Festivals Floral Parade. And Sunday, September 28th, 5 a.m. to 12 p.m., the Honolulu Century Bike Ride. It's all over East Oahu, not just in Waikiki. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, also, they're gonna, tagging onto that, after the race, they're gonna have festivals and events at Kapiolani Park. So, for the whole weekend, so please come by.
And I didn't put it on here because I didn't know the Duke Kahanamoku annual surfing event is happening. Rick, what, do you know when that's happening? Next week? Starts Tuesday, so we'll have a little bit of extra traffic on people using Cohio Beach. Yes. Usually it goes, what, 5 days?
The Duke's Ocean Fest is 5 days or 7 days, I don't remember, but it starts on the 19th. And the dog surf contest is Thursday, the 21st. My dog is in the Surf Hall of Fame.
So I'm sure Tim and John will be out there surfing. Applications for liquor license, Ina Steak and Seafood, 342 Lower Street, second floor, category 2. They actually have a hearing on August 21st. There's a request for a special liquor license, 342 Lures as well. Room 301, Cat 2 with singing. Paia Fish Market, you all know where Paia Fish Market is. Evidently, they bought the property next, or renting the property next to them, so they're having a floor expansion for their liquor license. That might take care of those long lines we see out their door every night. And there was one that somehow got past me. Capital Grill is planning to apply for special license from August 22nd to October 21st this year at their site located at 2380 Cohio, space 105. And the reason for all these special licenses is the Liquor Commission is underwater with a backlog of requests for licenses. So their general procedure they do right now is issue a special for 60 days to almost a year in some cases, while they get their package together and consider it for a permanent liquor license. So that's all I've got for licenses this month. Next on our agenda, we have Mayor's Representative, Nola. She's going to show us a home movie she made while on vacation, I understand.
Oh, I wish I could take credit. Is this on? Good evening, Chair Finley and members of the Neighborhood Board. I wish I could take credit for this great video, but this was created by the mayor's comms team, one of the mayor's comms team, to highlight, actually, we're a little bit behind. This is actually highlights from the month of June. And we're a little bit behind on July and August, but that's going to come out in September. So, but instead of the newsletter, reading from the newsletter, I thought everyone would be interested in seeing something real life that we created on a update from the mayor.
Nola, I'm glad you brought a video because last month I had to pretend to be you and read the newsletter.
Great common sense. There's no list some of the things you should study more. Seen from day one. Mayor, you have always been a partner in this with us. And we really appreciate it.
I really learned just like life skills, responsibility, accountability, teamwork, we all much aloha of that and how to protect the community. Hi, bye, hello. Like, honest, sorry that I don't edit. Like, you have nothing left.
More kids on the west side will have summer, and, what summer sounds fun.
Thank you very much. Thanks to the comms team for doing that. One thing I will add from this past month that I think will be interesting to everyone here is that the city and county demolished the 1615 Alawai Boulevard building, the vacant apartment that I think we've had a lot of questions about. So the redevelopment of the property is in planning. The city has selected a company called Center Urban Real Estate as the negotiating partner. So basically, it's a milestone for us in this long neglected property where affordable options for residents have been increasingly limited. So that is the plan, I guess, for this property. Center Urban Real Estate is a vertically integrated real estate firm focused on urban infill and workforce housing. And the company takes a community-first approach to development with an emphasis on high-quality design, long-term sustainability, and efficient land use.
They've reserved some space, I think, in October when they have their plans complete to bring it to the board. So you'll see all the things they're planning to do with that space.
Okay, so the questions from last month, just to respond to what was raised. 436 Ena Road, a resident raised concerns that there are people illegally living in the condemned building on Ena Road. I guess we got two responses, one from DCS, Department of Community Services. They've said the property has been put out for a solicitation for redevelopment, just like the 1615 Alawai. A developer has been chosen and will begin plans for redevelopment of the property. Since the property was put out for redevelopment, DCS has decided not to remove the graffiti, which was at a significant cost. With a developer selection action made, DCS is transferring the property to another department, the Department of Housing and Land Management. we did get a separate response from HPD about the location. From June 18th to the 28th, District 6 officers conducted multiple checks of the building and the surrounding area. They found no signs of homeless encampments or people living there illegally. However, the building is not securely locked and is accessible from the back stairwells. The front gate is removable, allowing access to the door handle to open the front entrance. They ask if anyone observes people illegally living there in the future, please call 911 and meet the responding officer at that time, so anyone inside can be located and the issue addressed at that time.
Sorry, I didn't interrupt. Thanks for letting us, I came back from vacation and realized that one building was torn down. That's great movement on that. The building you're talking about just now, is that the one-story building next to 1717 Alawai?
No, it's on Ena Road.
Oh, it's on Ena Road.
It's the one with it looks like a mid-rise. It's got the graffiti on the side of it.
Oh, okay, yeah, that Julian mentioned, okay. And then, I'm sorry, again, don't mean to interrupt here. Well, I'll save it for questions. The one-story building near 1770, I wanted an update on that, but I'll save that for the end.
Okay. Road repavement. Member Filek wants to know the timeline for Tustala Street repaving project. And I guess we did not get a response. Was referred to the Department of Facility Maintenance, but we did not have time. I guess they didn't get a report back to us in time, so we'll have to, report on that next month. There was a question about the rock water feature update. A resident asked for a rock water feature on Kalakaua Avenue across Nani Aloha Shirt Outlet, asked that this be fixed. So DPR, Parks and Recreation, responded, one of two pumps is currently out awaiting a part. With only one pump currently operating, the flow of waterfall is reduced. Okay, then the benches. DPR, Gloria, resident Steiner requested more benches at Kuhio Beach, and DPR responded that they will look into adding additional benches at that beach, at Kuhio Beach. And then the final comment was resident Mark During wants clarification. If drivers are permitted to use the bus lane, this is on Kapulu Avenue, and request the removal of the red paint to not deter drivers from using the lane. So DTS responded, the bus lane gives priority to city transit vehicles, emergency vehicles, bikes, and large freight trucks. All other vehicles are prohibited from traversing the lane unless they're turning right into driveways and side streets. They are allowed to enter the lane in advance of the turn. Red pavement markings and signage are used to highlight the priority assigned to city and private buses. So that is a little confusing, so I hope that's clear. You can enter, obviously, to turn right from that far right lane.
The department is on the agenda later today, so they'll be on in person.
Are there any questions?
Go ahead, Jeff.
Yeah, and again, thanks for that report. Just to go back to, if we could get an update, it's been a while, and I thought they approved building plans for a mid-rise condominium complex next to 1717 Alawai. There's a one-story building, used to be a charity operation. It's surrounded by a parking lot. There used to be all graffiti on the roof. But again, I thought they were well into their building permit process, and it was non-discretionary. It was just a building permit because they met all the criteria. So I just would like to know an update on that building and where that stands. And then also got a call from Tony Powers, who lives in that same area, and he sent it to the city, but just so we could follow up on the roosters on the Alawai Promenade near the convention center. They're driving him crazy. So if we can do something about that, I don't know how they take care of them, I can imagine. But if there's something we could do about the roosters there. And that's all I had.
Lisa, did you have something? No.
So actually, I believe Trevor addressed the building, that one story you're talking about next to 1717, that they finally contacted the owner. He's going to repaint at least once a month. However, I did not hear that he's abdicating control of that building. I think you're thinking about just down towards that dead end. There is a two-story that they're tearing down, and that's going to be built into affordable housing
perhaps.
Yeah, that leads toward and then, yeah, the other ones.
For the old guys, I think that's the old K-Poi radio station that you were talking about.
And then we are here. It's a one story, it's a blue awning.
Yeah.
And, they know, I probably they should go for a good hour.
Okay.
Questions for the mayor from the audience? In the back, ma'am, please.
I don't know if you are the person for that, but do you know why they are breaking all the grounds near to the bus stop in the Cohill Avenue?
Which bus stop?
A lot. If
Oh.
you walk, it's like more than 10. So it's very near to the bus stop. They are breaking the cement, removing the stones and put the cement again, and it's a mess.
Oh.
But I don't know why they are doing that. Do you know why?
No, but I'll find out.
That's the,
Go ahead, man.
they're replacing a lot of the broken stones, and trees that have uprooted and lifted, and they're going to have to take some trees out. But I do have, some comments on that as well, and I would like addressed. The signage of block sidewalk is either, it's woefully inadequate. I have video of people walking in the streets because they're working on both sides of the street. I mean, you need to leave one side at least for people in a wheelchair, or because they've got like ramps and boards, and it's very unclear where it's, sometimes there's Kate, or like sidewalk or rails up, you can walk around it, sometimes you can't. And I have multiple photos of zero signage when it's shut down. They're closing the sidewalk, and they're forcing people to go back and forth like a ping pong ball, and it's really very dangerous. They're rude. You know, they yell at you when you come anywhere near them, and the signage is, like I said, it's non-existent most of the time. If it is, it's some crappy sign that's all beat up. You can't even read that says sidewalk closed, and it'll be halfway down the block. If you're not paying attention, you get there and you're in a hurry or whatever, you're carrying kids. I see people carrying kids, strollers. Those contractors need to, somebody from the city needs to come down and see what's going on, because it is a mess every day of the week, on a Monday even. So forget, later in the day and whatever, but somebody really needs to get a hold. I have the contractor, couple of the T-shirts, and they're, they don't care what they're doing at all.
Okay.
It is a massive project. And they advertise from the time they put up the barrier to tear it down is 3 weeks. I don't know why it takes that long, but maybe you could, facilities maintenance, jump on them a little bit. Be nice. Other concerns for the mayor? Oh, Greg, go ahead.
Aloha, Nola. Greg Nasakian. I almost thought it was an election year when you put the video up, but I know it's not. And it's nice to see all of the good things that are going on. I know there's a lot of photo ops. I've never in a state seen so many photo ops by elected officials ever. So I think that's just maybe the Aloha way, but there's a lot of time spent on a lot of photo ops. But what I don't see is the mayor actually coming to these board meetings. Specifically, I mean, maybe he can't make all of them because there's no way, but I would think he would be interested to come to at least the Waikīkī board meeting, or many of the other boards too, at least once during the course of the year. But we don't see him, and we appreciate that you're here, but it would be nice if the mayor would come. And what would also be good, since we're seeing the good things, we have issues that need to be addressed that seem to go on and on and on. Maybe the board can look into making a video for the mayor and our state elected officials to show them the concerns that this board has. I'd be happy to put the video together. I have some experience at that. You get your issues, photos together, and we'll do a narrative, form a committee, and get the message out to our elected officials. Because we talk about it a lot at these board meetings, then you go home, and then nothing happens, and then you come back and you talk about it a lot. I know from experience of over 2 years on this board. So hopefully, could you get a commitment from the mayor to come to the next board meeting? That would be great.
I don't know.
Or future. Could you try it? Okay, that's it.
We did have the town hall meetings, where he did 11 town hall meetings, and I think the Waikīkī meeting was held this year at Kalani High School. Last year was at the Alawai Clubhouse, so they rotate locations. So I think that's the opportunity that he is, invites the community to come and meet him and talk to him about issues in your community. And, certainly I'm sure he's aware of a number of these issues, but I can't really speak to his schedule. We do have, we have quite a number of neighborhood boards. 30.
Members of the audience, any more questions for the mayor? Members of the board, any more questions for the mayor? I do not see anybody online. No question. Nola, thank you for being with us.
Thank you, everyone.
Is Chair Waters or one of his people on the? Okay.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we got you.
Great. Aloha, Chair Finley, and members of the Waikīkī Neighborhood Board. I'm Adam Dew from Council Chair Tommy Waters' office. Tasha Luke from our office did email out our August newsletter earlier today. Thank you to Director Nola for the thorough Mayor's City report. This board truly has one of the best mayor's representatives for the board, and we truly do enjoy collaborating with her, working with her to solve these problems. So I do have a short report. I did want to follow up on Bill 4625, which is sponsored by Chair Waters and Councilmember Agi Toba. It did pass second reading last week and will be heard in committee next month. Bill 46 requires HPD to provide local media outlets with access to dispatch radio communications in emergency situations when the public safety is at risk. We did have a couple of complaints about 2256 Pohio Avenue. That is, I believe it's a 2 or 3 story building on Kuhio. It's one of those that are boarded up. We are working with Representative Tam's office to reach out to the owner to seek updates on the timeline of that redevelopment of that property. Then lastly, I did hear some comments about street performers. I did want to let the board know that we are working on drafting a street performers bill. In this drafting, I did learn a word for street performers is buskers. So we might be referring to this bill as our buskers bill, but it would help regulate the noise and performing in safe designated areas on the sidewalk. We believe that this would be beneficial for the residents, visitors, businesses, and performers alike. We will keep the board updated on this bill. And excuse me, with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Questions, Jeff Mers.
Yeah, just a quick comment. I thought years ago we had a busker bill, and then we had a beauty contest to see which was the best talents, and we let them go on the street. Has that been null and void, or is this something different? Over.
We did try a noise bill. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. Excuse me.
Yeah, no, it was an actual, as I understood it, performers would try out and they would be approved in specific areas. It had nothing to do with the noise. It had to do with the actual seeing how much talent we could get on the street, as I recall.
Interesting. No, this one will be slightly different. Thank you.
Other questions for Chair Waters?
Aloha, Jacob Winsteck. Thank you for having the time to come and speak with us. There's two bills I wanted to comment on before the city council currently. First one is Bill 46 being pushed by Chair Waters about transparency with police communications. I strongly support this bill, testified in support of it, and really glad to see that it's got some positive momentum moving forward, and I hope we can get this bill across the finish line. But there is a bill that does very much concern me, Bill 53, which would reinstate parking minimums for affordable housing projects. The council has made substantial progress over the last few years in addressing the regulatory burdens that we face and the permitting backlogs and burdens that we face to afford living here. And reinstituting parking minimums would just absolutely be counterproductive to affordability, affordable housing, you name it. So I would just strongly encourage the council chair and his colleagues to very much oppose Bill 53, which would reimpose parking minimums, which are just insanely counterproductive and anti-affordability in Honolulu. Thank you.
Thank you. Two things for the chair. Earlier this evening, I believe you were listening when we had the discussions, multiple discussions about the noise at the Kapiolani or at the zoo parking lot. I believe the chair sits on the Kapiolani Park Trust as a voting member. And I wonder if he could use his influence to assist us in enforcing noise levels that don't bother the human animals and the zoo animals. I wonder if you could bring that to his attention. And this might involve asking the State Department of Health to come over and actually measure the sound levels. I'm sure we can get a volunteer to allow them on her lanai, which is what they do with the Liquor Commission. So if you could bring that to his attention, the more emphasis, not just the mayor's emphasis, but the city council's emphasis would be greatly appreciated in this effort.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I will follow up with Chair Waters on that.
Anybody else has questions for Chair Waters? Don't see any. Thank you for being with us. Hope your cold gets better.
Thank you.
Does Senator Moriwaki have a representative? I know she's out of town. Representing the senator and the representative, Adrian Tam, there he is.
Good evening, members of the board. It's good to be here. Most of you have my newsletter. I underestimated how much I needed to print tonight. So if you don't have one and we're out, you can find them on the Capitol website under my member page. Several things that I can report on. The condo insurance bill for stabilization has been signed into law. And I know that the new insurance commissioner, as well as the DCCA, is reaching out to condominiums to see what kind of options they have under this new law. In the newsletter, I also included an update on the noise cameras. We're looking at a full installation by January 2026. I understand that right now it's in the data collecting stages, but hopefully eventually they're going to move to start issuing fines. This has been a priority since the very beginning, and I'm really happy to see it come into fruition slowly but surely. I'm just happy that it's finally being done and we can have at least some peace and quiet. I also have gotten some complaints regarding 2260 Kuhio Avenue, the abandoned building. I have brought it up to the mayor's rep's attention, and I'm working with Councilmember Waters to see if we can get a status update. My understanding is that I think that they're in the process of trying to get demolition permits. And with that, I open it up to any kind of questions you may have for me.
Members of the audience, questions for Representative Tam or Senator Moriwaki? I see Tim has a question.
Good evening, Adrian. I'm happy that the condo insurance people are being taken care of. But how about the homeowners? My hurricane insurance went through the roof last year. And actually, even my homeowners went up. My house is 65 years old. It's never been in no damage ever from a hurricane in 65 years. But my insurance went from $1,600 a year for hurricane to $3,700. And if you got a mortgage, you got to have the insurance. So I applaud your effort in taking care of the condos, but there's a lot of homes out there. And the scuttlebutt is a lot of homes are single ply, right? One ply, just one wall. And the insurance companies are going to use that as an excuse to deny you coverage. So I hope you guys down at the state will look into that because I find it outrageous. Thank you.
So I can talk to that about. So this is a reactivation of a current hurricane insurance fund that's already in existence that have been underwriting for writing policies for homes and single family homes. What we did in this bill was reactivate it, find a new funding mechanism for it, and allow it to write insurance for condos. So as I'm aware, it does cover single family homes as well.
Is that the 10% hurricane insurance?
Yeah.
So if you buy hurricane insurance, it'll cover 10% of the value of your property. Unless you want to spend an unbelievable amount of money. So you find that when you are selling your unit or refinancing, it impacts you.
So I know this is a very interesting topic for us all. So if you would like, I can actually try to invite the new insurance commissioner to come and talk about it as well. Okay.
Any other questions for Representative Dr.
Aloha, Rep. Tam. Greg Masakian again. And regarding it was Bill 1046, the condo insurance support bill that was enacted. When you do a deeper dive into that, and I'm not sure as far as single family what that element is there. I haven't gone into the depth of that yet. But when you look at the details behind the condo availability for insurance, it doesn't cover the first 10 million. So there's going to be many condominium buildings that are smaller that are going to be excluded. It's a 2% deductible on the value of the property. And if you have a property that's a high rise that could be valued at, 500 million or more easily, that's a deal breaker for most condo associations. There's other concerns with it because you have to be denied by at least 2 carriers. I don't know how many you actually have, this task force has gotten to look at where there's been confirmed policies provided. So I'm not sure if there's any policies that have actually been underwritten yet. I heard there was a number about 10 possibly, but that's something I'd like to know more about. And lastly, in a state that I see more and more of favoritism, quid pro quo. Somebody told me that Representative Psyche was going to be made the insurance commissioner a long time ago after he was defeated. And the acting commissioner, Jerry Bump, was in that position with years of experience, and then it flipped. So I have concerns that the person with the most experience isn't in the position, and the person that's in the position never listened to the condo owners over the years that I'm familiar with him as a representative. Thank you.
So I can invite Speaker Psyche, I know, former Speaker Psyche and new insurance commissioner to come. He has worked heavily on this bill since 2024. And he's very knowledgeable and he'll be able to answer a lot of your questions.
Other questions for Rep. Tam? Yes, ma'am.
To piggyback on what he said, I would be curious to know how many condo associations are able to take advantage of that or that have taken advantage of that, because it does exclude a lot of condominiums.
Yeah, from what I understand, the legislature wanted to make it on a needs basis first to address the most dire situations and then soon open it up to newer economies. But I can bring it up to the governor and as well as the DCCA.
Aloha, Adrian.
Aloha.
Thank you for all the work you do representing us. My question is, will there be a special session called? And specifically, I'm concerned about anybody performing law enforcement in the state of Hawaii identifying themselves. Do you know of any such bill that could be in the works? I'm just concerned about people enforcing the law in Waikīkī who are not identifying themselves and refusing to identify themselves.
As of right now, I know that we do not have plans for a special session, according to the governor and our speaker. I think that one of the reasons why is, it doesn't mean that we couldn't. I just don't know what bill that we would introduce right now. Regarding your question about law enforcement impersonations, I know that, or addressing themselves, I don't know of any bill that's being introduced right now, but possibly in the upcoming legislative session, there might be.
Thank you. Just confirming next session will be in January?
January 2026, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, Representative. I saw, I think it was Hawaiian News Now article. It was talking about the bill you passed in regards to the noise meters that will be placed in Waikīkī. And I would like to, is there an update when those are going to be installed? And then also, I know the governor's representative just walked in. I was kind of didn't take lightly to the deputy director of DOT's comment that suggested that, at any given night, a whisper could be too noisy for a resident, during the night. And, nobody in Waikīkī is complaining about whispers. We're complaining about outrageous noises being made by these outrageously loud vehicles that nobody would think would be reasonable or want to hear in the middle of the night. So if you could give me an update, because I know it's going to happen, but so when is it going to happen? And then also, what can we do? Because DOT, the article suggested they're just going to give the information to HPD. And, HPD went from 14 noise violations last month to 4 violations this month. So, I think it's a great program. You've responded to this board by passing that legislation. What can we do to ensure that that's a successful project once it is enacted?
Thank you. I think what the neighborhood can do is work with other neighborhood boards to possibly pass maybe resolutions asking for the Department of Transportation as well as Honolulu Police Department to start issuing citations to the perpetrators after the data collecting period. I think that it's honestly a win-win for all of us, especially for HPD, if we are able to take this off their hands and use technology to address these problems so that our police officers can address serious crimes such as assaults.
When is it going to start?
It's January 2026.
That's an information period there's a period of just information and then it's enforcement.
I think right now it's just data collections after 2026 when it's fully installed.
Is that for a year?
That I do not know. You might want to ask the governor's rep or the Department of Transportation on that.
Okay, thanks.
But it is in the newsletter that there is an update on it.
Sarah, did you have something?
Just a quick question. So do you think these noise cameras, are they eventually going to be when you run a red light, you automatically are sent a citation? It doesn't go through HPD who has to come out and cite you. Will it be that sort of system eventually, do you think?
eventually that's the intent
Okay, great.
for the bill. And if we need another bill to clarify that, I'm more than happy to introduce it.
Any other questions for Representative Tam? Seeing none, thank you for being with us tonight. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Governor's representative is next. There she is. Good to see you hiding behind him. By the way, Director Lambert will be with us next month to represent the electronic safety in Waikīkī, the thing with the drones and all that. So I asked him to come back and so we can review it again.
Hi, everyone. Apologies for coming in late this evening. I guess firstly, other than what I've just heard in the last few moments, can I address specifically with Gov's team? I have a letter from John that was shared with different agencies and on the integrity of headcount at police facilities. And I think what has to come next with that, if we're going to do it, is a board resolution from this board asking for a more formal reply. I don't think I've received any different information than what you have, John. So that's what my suggestion would be on next steps.
Just to fill you in, I brought this up a couple of meetings ago. There's this ongoing mantra among the criminal justice reformists that say, oh, there's too many people in jail for minor crimes. So I pulled a Freedom of Information request for the month of February and March of this year. In February, they had 27 misdemeanor defendants total in pretrial out of like 900 and something people. That's how many were actually in there. And the Department of Corrections reported in the month of February, 85 on average were in there. So 27 were really in there, 85 reported in there. It's a difference of 68%. About the same for March. So something's way off. And my other follow-up would be, what is this oversight committee doing? Because they get a lot of money and a lot of funding, and there's articles almost every day in Civil Beat about, people getting killed in prison, and cameras not working, and all this other stuff. And I have a head count that's off by 68%, which I told them about many, many times. In my opinion, they're focused in on their little political agenda that all prisoners can be fixed and nobody belongs in jail, and they're not oversighting anything. Like, people are getting murdered in jail. There's no cameras in jail. That we need a bigger jail. The oversight committee is fighting the bigger jail. So I don't know exactly what they do because they haven't responded directly to me, except deflect it. And if they're going to oversight, let's oversight.
So I think that would require the Department of Corrections to come to speak to it. I can't, but I can open up that dialogue. I mean, it's a larger dialogue, I think, than just concerns Waikīkī, but I know it has some particular implications here around public safety. So if I'm going to make a case for it, that's in part why I was saying that it's a board decision. If we were going to go forward to create a document that I can take back to say, okay, these concerns are repeatedly brought up. Can someone come and speak to them directly? I know that may be inadequate, but it's all I have to offer tonight.
Jacob?
Aloha, Jacob Winsek again. Thank you for taking the time to come here. I just want to start off by saying, I think the state, for our tsunami scare a couple weeks ago, did in part a pretty good job maintaining unity of communications discipline, especially among the 4 counties. A lot of things were communicated very well out. So I would like to commend the state government for leading that role. However, there are some areas we can improve on. I think the big thing was the HIEMA and the county emergency management websites were down. which had a lot of the crucial information for the evacuation zones and the at-risk zones for any possible flooding. So not having that in a time of crisis was really detrimental. Having that lag time was not good. Fortunately, we had a long lag time and little, fortunately, the impact proved minor, but still, lesson learned from that. And I would think there's also a big lesson learned in traffic management. We all saw the videos of, H1 just being bumper to bumper every which way. Town was pretty gridlocked. So I think working with the county governments, especially here in Honolulu, to get a good disaster traffic management plan in place and executing that, that is only just going to save us more time. And if, heaven forbid, it'll help us save more lives as necessary. And I would like to echo John's concerns about, the prison. Just this past week, we're learning about murders and gangs just running OCCC. We need a new, improved prison. We need it now. The legislature has to stop stalling. And, sure, there can be in the abstract a place for restorative justice and all that kind of jazz, but we need a physical jail. We need a place to confine people for their good and for our own, for the public safety of the community. Thank you.
Thanks. I'll speak a little bit about the communications around the tsunami. I was part of the Joint Information Center for that. And I think probably what we did was almost over communicate and cause some traffic issues, but maybe better to over communicate than not. But for sure, that's
Absolutely.
something that needs to be fixed, and the website issues as well. But lots of conversation around it, high priority. These weather events, just to ensure that when they do come, we have a seamless system where IEMA, my department, which is energy, and others that are all connected to critical infrastructure are connected so that people are safe. So yeah, thank you.
Just one more comment, definitely yes, over communication is key. Letting, just that way people get the message thoroughly, because you're always reaching someone new. And yeah, just helping fix the website issue would also just be a big step in improvement. Thank you.
On that subject, I was impressed with the amount of information I could get, except they kept referring us to the phone book for information. And how many people have a landline and get a phone book? Maybe one. So you just got one. So I thought it was, I said, what phone book are we talking about? But other than that, television, radio, it was well covered. Unfortunately, we had traffic jams, but that's when you have more cars than you have street, you're going to have a traffic jam.
Yeah, and the timing of it coincided with normal rush hour traffic too, so it was already busy on the streets. I was out on South Beretania and happy that I was walking and not driving, but it's an issue that has to be resolved for sure.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I think another thing too is when they released the maps for the evacuation zones, there was the red and the yellow. And of course, when people thought they were in the yellow, that they were in major danger and they were trying to evacuate, because that was a big thing with my family members. I had friends and family that were, for example, in Macaulay or like towards the H1, and they weren't really sure what to do, whether they should evacuate, and I told them, that to kind of, they didn't read the map per se in terms of what's a red zone, what's a yellow zone, because yellow is for a very extreme scenario. So a lot of people, even though they were in those zones, were still kind of reacting and evacuating because they weren't sure what to expect. So that was a big thing, at least among my family and friends, with the evacuation process.
Yeah, it speaks to the need to be super simple and clear. And part of the message too with the waves is like getting to high ground. Like if you are stuck, that's what your choice is at the end, right? Thanks.
Go ahead, Sarah.
So I'm building off that. Yeah, I had a concern too, because we got the warning and I was like, okay, we have 7 hours. I live on the 18th floor. I know usually they say go to the 4th floor or higher and stay, but then I was like, well, I've got 7 hours. I have time to drive somewhere else. So I wasn't really sure what I should have done. And I actually really appreciated, I was reading a civil beat later that I thought it was the governor recommending, he's like, hey, if you don't have to go anywhere, just buckle down, stay, don't go out shopping for groceries, don't do all these because then you're clogging up the roads for people who have to get out of there. So I was hoping that maybe we could come up with a better plan because I could use more clarification about what I should do too.
Yeah, it can always get better, and we do these training sessions that aren't actual events too, but involve all the machinery of the state emergency measures. And so more of that is coming, even to the point, like in all the counties are already involved, but just trying to ensure that we have seamless communication. So we're practicing and happy to have the feedback.
Go ahead.
Aloha. I appreciate Governor Green very much. I have one comment and one question. The comment is regarding the tsunami evacuation notice. I do appreciate that I learned that if I ever need to evacuate Waikīkī, do not do so by car. It took me literally 2 hours to go 1 block, and I knew that wasn't going to happen, so I drove down the wrong way, one-way street just to go back home. So now I know, lesson learned, if I need to evacuate, I do it on foot. So I appreciate that. My question is the governor going to be calling a special session?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, there was talk of that, a couple of months ago, especially in light of all the federal clawbacks and budget cuts, and we weren't entirely sure where we were going to stand, but I think 313 bills were signed, and at the end of the day, the decision was that we would begin thinking about next session. So as far as I know, there's no special session that's going to be called. Great.
Aloha, Yvonne. Two things and both related to foreclosures. Today, I read an article in Civil Beat regarding some of the Maui wildfire victims with forbearance ending or coming to an end at some point. They're concerned that foreclosure could be the next element of their the drama that they've had to go through in their lives if they can't afford to pay the mortgage or they didn't have enough insurance. So there's a certain number of those people that I'm concerned about. But in the same day, and I think it was meant to be, I received an email from a very well-known attorney. I'm not going to mention him at the moment, but he's involved in helping the Maui victims also. And he asked me, well, my organization, I serve as president of the Kokua Council, and he asked if we could sign on to an amicus brief for a decision that was just brought down by or determined by the Hawaii Supreme Court, which is actually extending out the length of term that you can actually foreclose on a debt that's owed. And I haven't read the ruling yet, so I don't know all of the details. I have to go and read it. But from the summary that he provided, it looks like the person's rights are actually being, encroached on. And the debt normally, I think 6 years was mentioned, so I don't know in Hawaii. I know in other states it's 10 years for liens in some states. But that's a concern. So I'm concerned that the Supreme Court made that decision, but I have to look at the decision to see the details of it. Could this be something you bring to the attention of the governor? Because I think it's very important that we make sure we don't have property owners losing their properties for something like that.
A concern that the legal term for foreclosure would be shortened is your concern?
No, the concern from Maui is that the victims are potentially going to lose their homes now because forbearance of their mortgages are, going to go away, and there needs to be more help for those people. So that's one thing. The Hawaii Supreme Court decision basically is saying that where you thought your debt was resolved, like it wasn't adjudicated and you don't owe it, now it's up to 20 years you could potentially owe it. So it's extending out the term. And again, I haven't read the ruling yet, so I need to look at it. It just came down, and the attorney involved is asking for organizations to sign on to an amicus brief.
Okay, so it really applies to the victims who lost their homes in the fire.
No, they're two completely separate issues. That's why I said there's two issues. The first one is Maui. The second one is Hawaii Supreme Court, but that also could impact those people down the road. I don't know how the ruling impacts those people. Those people have an immediate issue that's coming up because they have mortgages that they're going to have to start paying with back costs too, and interest. So that's another concern.
Yeah, I can bring it up and I can find out a bit more information. I mean, with the anniversary, these past days, it's been front of mind for everybody. I think there's over 1,500 new homes that have been built, but there are bigger questions now about commercial rebuild, about the whole repowering resilience strategy for West Maui, which by extension really means the entire county, related to both drought and fire, and ongoing plans, some of which I'm involved in detail with the Office of Resiliency to ensure that this doesn't happen again. So it's front of mind, and questions about how the people are faring and the things that may be difficult, certainly relevant for me to bring up.
Okay, thank you. And if you could take a look at that ruling, that would be great, just so you also are aware of what it's.
I want to make sure I understand it clearly.
Okay, thank you.
Tim, did you have something?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
The recent tsunami was a futile attempt at hysteria. We had proper warnings. It's government's failure to control hysteria, right? And Josh Green's a doctor. He understands hysteria, right? Very hard to control a population that has that implemented into them by a variety of sources. Maybe you weren't here, but remember when the North Koreans were bombing us? Total hysteria. We never learned anything from that. As a government group, maybe it's because all those people that were in office are gone. The city council's gone. We replace our emergency people every year. They move on to another position. I've been involved in some traumatic things. Earthquake in LA when the Santa Monica Freeway dropped down and people instantly went and looted grocery stores. Instantly, 5 minutes after the earthquake, their response was to go and loot. The media, this could have been done so much orderly. The media gets on there, even after the tsunami was supposed to hit at a 7-Eleven. At 11:07, they still got cameras on Honolulu Bay waiting for the thing to come on. They're just sitting there stretching time, getting people more anxious. Total failure.
Thank you. Anything else for the governor? Yes.
Thanks. I know we're kind of using this opportunity to talk about our experiences with the tsunami. And if there's one thing that I hope resonates with everyone, administrations are going to change, but your situation is your responsibility. Ultimately, the government can give you as much information as possible, but you know where you work, you know where you live. It is incumbent upon all of us to know if we are in an evacuation zone, what we need, and what needs to be taken care of for our lives. So as someone who worked in the information side of this response, there was a lot of information that went out there, but each one of our situations is unique to us. So please use this opportunity to inform yourself about what you and your family would need to do in an emergency situation. Granted, the circumstances, the unique circumstances of every emergency will vary, but for the most part, you know what you need to do if you're at work, where your kids are, where your family is. So please do not rely on government for everything. You folks need to be well aware of what you need to do in an emergency situation. Please use this opportunity to prepare yourself.
Just
I'd like to thank you, Nathan. He actually reached out to all of us to make sure that we all had somewhere high to go. So that was really nice of you looking out for us.
I would add to that too, like we're conscious at the state too, like the waves were 6 feet in the North Shore at any given day, they're maybe 30 feet, like, and you're waiting, wondering what's going to happen with it. And fortunately, not too much did, but we don't want anyone to make the mistake of thinking that it couldn't have been worse. It could have. You don't know. And we don't know when we go into these situations. And as far as the media, I mean, they play a crucial role in getting the word out, but they do, I mean, they'll mine a story for hours and hours, and that's a reality, and we can try and manage those relationships too. But what you've said, a common sense approach, it's you, it's your family. We're going to try and get the communication out about what to do and when, but we all do have a personal kuleana to try and just use some common sense.
Anything else, the governor? We are in hurricane season, so you should be prepared anyway. Thank you. Thank you very much, Bob. Next, we have Rick Agate from the Waikīkī Improvement Association.
Good evening, everyone. And actually, I was in the air when the last tsunami warning hit. But given the circumstances and what I've read about the situation, I do think it requires some re-examination of our disaster warning system in terms of what instructions we give the public. We really should be trying to keep people off the streets. And so we need to relook at the plans, I think, in terms of with that in mind. What can we explain to people? Because I think hurricane or tsunami, the answer for most of us is stay where you are. Don't go out. You know, and that means we're not out on the road. However, if I've got little kids that need to be picked up from nursery school, then I'm going to go pick them up. And so I think that there just needs, but I'm not going to be able to get to them if everybody else is out there in their car. So I think there just needs to be a priority for, hey, you don't leave unless you absolutely have to for family purposes. You know, and that's just the kind of logic I'd like to see added to the information that gets out there to the public. So, and Bob and I have talked about this. We're going to, and I've also talked to some of the other Waikīkī leaders. And so we want to meet with the city and the state and kind of go over the plans. We don't, it's one of those things that's out of sight, out of mind all the time, except when we need it. And so let's make sure we do the preparation like Bob says. We could have a hurricane warning tomorrow. And so let's get better prepared. I think that's, and I do take to heart the advice that everybody should know what they're supposed to do in a disaster. That's incumbent upon each of us. So I agree there too. And again, most times it's not getting your car. So, okay, thank you, everybody. And just some quick updates. We have a Sunset on the Beach that's taking place August 30th. It's going to be wicked. Sunset on the Beach is sponsored by Southwest Airlines and the city and county of Honolulu, because the frame that's on the beach actually belongs to the city. So the city permits Sunset on the Beach, and we appreciate Southwest Airlines offering these to our community. And then there will be another one on September 27th. If Kuhio Beach Hula, we did get word that they are going to be funded. So they're going to be beginning August 16th, which is this Saturday. It'll be every Saturday for the rest of the year. We can't do it twice a week anymore because we don't have sufficient funds. But we do get some sponsorship from Hyatt across the street, and we'll be getting some funds from the state through the Hawaii Tourism Authority. So beginning August 16th, the hula show will resume. Bob already went over the Aloha Festival schedule. And I know that he was a little taken aback by saying we wouldn't be off the street till 2 a.m. That's usually we're finished clearing the street before then, but that's just the deadline for clearing the street. Obviously, we closed the event much earlier. Yeah, and so, and we're gonna have a very robust Loa Festival Sol Aulea this year with numerous stages and entertainment and a lot of sponsorships. So it should be a good fun for everybody. It is the largest cultural event in the state. Over 100,000 people attend. So it should be a great event for Waikīkī. That's really all the real news, the update. I think you've seen this, one of the stories that came out was about how inadequate our storm drain system is. That's something that we're looking at as well. And you probably have seen the stories. I'm not going to go to the details because hopefully we'll get more information later about there was an appropriation this year to the University of Hawaii to begin looking at ways to basically clean up the Alawai Canal. And so that's something that's a concern to all of us. It's one of the most polluted waterways in the United States, and it's in our backyard. And so it's something that is a community shame. We can't leave it sit that way. Let's get it fixed. But it's, again, something I think it's going to take some community action to do so. I'll stop there. I know it's been a long night, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Rick? Yes, sir.
Actually, I have two questions. One, actually building off what Nathan said, I wonder if it would be possible, because I know in Subdistrict 1 where Jeff Merritt's and I live, we have a lot of apartments that are only 2 stories. And so those people don't have the option of going up to the 4th. But my building has 5th floor. There's a huge just a entertainment area. I wonder if there's a way, maybe this would be a better question for actually the Waikīkī Business Association, but perhaps there's a way we can partner, like have buildings partner up. Because
yes, yeah, I think that should be part of the civil defense plan. In areas where you have low standing buildings, there should be designated areas where those people can walk to.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, I know, I think that's a good idea, Sarah. And I think that's something that is a topic that when they're re-looking at the civil defense plan, I think that's one of the things that should be considered.
Yeah, I think this tsunami was actually a great chance for like a learning experience. It was kind of a good test run, and I have to say I failed. But the next time I will be ready. But my second question is, speaking of the Alawai, I heard that there was going to be an Alawai Improvement Association. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah, we're actually been working on that for a number of years for a Alawai Watershed Improvement District, with the idea that it would provide services to the city and the state to help do the cleanup, just like the Business Improvement District does in Waikīkī. The funding would come, originally the idea was to use the stormwater fees as the funding source, but given the city's intention to create a stormwater utility, the idea is that the district would apply to the stormwater utility for funds. So in other words, it wouldn't do a separate appraisal, a separate assessment. Assessment is planned for the stormwater utility the city is preparing plans for.
Does that mean that residents are going to have an additional tax? Is that what that entails?
It will be a fee, a stormwater assessment based on the impermeable surfaces on a property. So yes, it would be an additional fee and this would be for all property owners, not just businesses. So it would be for residents as well. And the idea of doing it under a utility has merit, because then every property pays, including the US government, churches, University of Hawaii, schools, everybody would have to have that in their budget, because everybody contributes to that, you know, in terms of the property. So it's not just the private property residents, not just the businesses, it would be everyone would pay into the utility. It's just like you would pay for a sewer fee, for example. And so and it would be based on the amount of, in other words, it's not going to be every square foot, it's only going to be the square footage that is under roof or under concrete. It wouldn't be anything that was open. So, but that wouldn't be our proposal. That's a city issue. And what we're just talking about doing in terms of the improvement district is just to create a body that represents the community that can then perform some of these jobs that the city and state don't seem to ever get around to getting done. I mean, you could set up catchment systems to catch most of the debris before it goes into the Alawai, but somebody's got to clean it out. You know, there's been plans for how to circulate the water better in the Alawai. And these ideas come from a study that DLNR did. I'm not making them up. So these are engineering studies. There's solutions that are available, but nobody wants to do them. And so the idea is that there needs to be some additional options that we have for getting these projects done.
One thought, my compliments go out to your membership. I walked down Cohio at 6 p.m. and everything was locked up. There was an open business. They all sent their employees home. I don't know if they made it, but at 8 p.m. when the event was over, nobody could eat because nothing was open.
So, yeah, and again, I'm not sure that closing all the businesses and sending people home is the right decision. So that's something it's one of the things we want to talk.
I know some of the hotels kept essential people and gave them rooms for the night, stuff like that.
Mhm.
But it was the most deserted I've seen Cohio Avenue since COVID. It was just nobody out there. Anyway, thank you, Rick.
Thank you.
New board business. Renee, are you there from the Department of Transportation?
Hi, Chair Finley. I'm online.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
We were talking about the Cohio bus lanes, I believe.
Yeah, happy to share an update. Can you hear me or should I put my headphones
Yes,
on?
we can hear you fine.
Okay, thanks for having me, members of the board. Again, thank you for letting me participate remotely. I always appreciate that. My little one is in the other room, almost ready for bed. Update on Cohio bus lane. As you guys are well aware, we completed the eastbound phase 2 from Ka'iolani into Kapahulu in May, late May, around early June. It is a pilot project, so we are currently in a data collection observation period where we're also listening to community concerns. Usually this is a process that takes months to let things sort of shake out. But we have, of course, heard some loud concerns from the community, particularly about the eastbound backup at Kapahulu Avenue, something that we're concerned about as well. Most particularly came up, I think, last month from the residents of the condo tower there that are not able to get out of their building in an efficient manner. We've done a few things to try to mitigate it. We adjusted the signal timing out there to see if that would fix things. It improved a little bit, but then we sort of hit up against a wall with the amount of adjustments we could make. Typically, we see a bit more diversion from our projects as people find, more, say, take Kalakaua instead of Kuhio. We're still not seeing much of that. So we have made a decision to restore the double left at Kapahulu. We fortunately delays. We appreciate your feedback and your honesty with us, and of course your patience. Fortunately, we still have our contractor on board who installed the contract or installed the project, and he's still got some money in there that we
Renee?
did not use. Yes.
You got cut off before the part where you talked about the left lane being fixed. So we didn't hear you after that for a
After
bit.
that? Okay. Okay. Thank you for me back. So you heard the most important part. What I was saying is that we, appreciate everyone's patience through this. I know it's caused delays for folks, and we're happy that we have found a way forward. We still have our construction contract with KaiCor open, and so they're able to make the changes for us. We still have in the contract, so we should be able to do this expeditiously. Right now, we're just finalizing the contract with our striping sub. It's really just a small change on the road, the turn arrows, and then a couple sign changes. and then get our street usage permit. So things always take longer than I want them to, but I'm hoping we can get this done this month, is my hope. That's it. Like I said, we're still sort of in the observational period. We're generally pretty happy otherwise. And the bus gains through the corridor. We are, of course, planning a pretty significant ramp up of Waikīkī bus service with the next opening of Skyline, servicing the airport in October. And so that's kind of where we are. We're, like I said, haven't done a full evaluation yet, but we do hear the concerns and want to make sure we get out there and fix that as soon as possible.
Okay, I see we have a few questions. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious, besides the one minor addition to the double left, has there been any discussion or looking at adding turn arrows to allow the traffic on Ulanu, which, by the way, still have not figured that light out, why it even stops people there, because it's a one-way. It's a T intersection, and you literally are stopping traffic for cars that aren't even on the road, that there's nowhere for them to go. Or any type of adjustments to pedestrians as well, because when there's not a turn arrow, the cars are unable to make a left at multiple intersections. So is there any discussion on adding any left turn arrows at any of the other intersections on Kuhio?
Yes, our transportation engineering division is doing a left turn study on the corridor. I will say that traffic signal changes are significantly more involved than paint and lines, right? Like how we did the bus lane. So we're looking at that. I'll flag the Ulanu again in particular. I think the international marketplace one, I think, is probably rising to the occasion of needing a look to, given the increase in traffic there, I guess, with Target. So there's a few spots we're looking at, but I'll flag that and kind of follow up, but it will be on a longer timeline than the other change.
Other board members?
Just a clarification, so the left turn lane at Kapahulu on Kuhio Avenue, you said possibly by the end of the month that would be restored?
We're trying to get it as soon as we can. So we've told the contractor to move ahead, but he doesn't do the striping himself. He's a master contractor, and coordinating with right now to make sure he's got a fee for it, which is not very much. And then they just need to get a permit and get out there. So the plans are already done. They've already been approved, and we already have the contract set up. So it's should be pretty quick in terms of city time.
And do you know where that will it start at Poakalani, or where will that lane start? I'm just trying to see if we can let people in our building know they'll be able to get in and out.
Yeah, so the lane, the red marking itself will stay the same. The difference is that the second lane will go back to having the two lefts. And so it will operate basically as it did before. So there may be a backup in both lanes, but it'll be shorter within that block, right? The same way you guys had it in front of your building. But you know, there is some red markings up to the bus stop. But it basically says if you're making a right or whatever, right, you can come in at the beginning of the block. So almost the same as before. Yeah.
There's been quite a few accidents trying to come from the Mauka side of Kuhio into the apartments because the lane is backed up. So I think.
And the other one is so free, and I think people are shooting it around, right, and speeding the other lane, which is where the accident is happening, right? So we have a differential speeds, which can be problematic. So it should go back to the same operation that it used to be. There's no reason why we would expect it to be different.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, because even
and we're here. We're still here. We're not going anywhere. So we'll keep an eye on it too.
Another thing that would be helpful is at turning into our building, turning across closer to Kapahulu, there's a sign that says do not block the opening, which there's not a sign where our whole building pulls in. And so no one ever
On
stops
the-
to be
On the
able.
which side is it missing? On the eastbound or the west? So on
It
the
would
west,
be eastbound. To let
eastbound is
people-
missing?
Yeah, because that's where it gets blocked. I can't make a left to ever get in, so I have to go way down and come around because there's no way you can. If you do try to get across, then there's your usual speeder that's driving straight down the lane, but the cars never leave that space open. There's the closer to the intersection, there's a sign that says, please do not block please do not
Is it in the
block.
median? Is it
It's
in
the
median or
median,
is it
yeah,
on the
where they
side?
have the median where I can get in and out, the whole building can get in and out.
Okay, that's good feedback. We can look at that. That'd be really easy to add at the same time, to be honest. So thank you for highlighting that.
Yeah, Tim.
Good evening. I hope you consider, once you make the left off of Kuhio onto Kapahulu, and you're going up past Jefferson, except from 5 to whatever, 6:30, there's no parking there. But I would suggest you take away those parking spots on the zoo side, on the Diamond Head side of Kapahulu. Because what happens is there's so many cars making the left onto Kapahulu, then those cars, if there's cars parked on Kapahulu, they have to merge from 2 lanes to 1, and then it backs up and everybody's trying to get into the zoo and everything. So as a matter of traffic flow, I agree with making both of those lanes, get rid of that bus lane. There's nobody on the bus. And making that left onto Kapahulu and extending it all the way down and then putting a left-hand turn lane from Kapahulu, put a left-hand turn lane onto the Alawai, because that's the bottleneck right there. That's what bottles up everything back into Kuhio. Thank God you're doing something, because I will never drive down Kuhio. Thank you.
Yeah, I have one more suggestion. Same thing when you're going ocean bound on Kapahulu. People are trying to turn into the zoo. There's no way for anyone to get around them. So if you just removed 1 or 2, at one point the bicycles were in the road. That was insane because you could never get around. But now we're back to the parking stalls. So either stop the entrance or the ability to people to turn into the zoo before Kuhio, make them go down further, or take just 1 or 2 parking stalls out and allow the cars to go around the car that's trying to make a left. Because right now, especially when you have the traffic never stops coming for people to make a left. So it backs up Kapahulu even more now that we have way more cars in 1 lane trying to make a left on a Kapahulu. So if you either don't let people go into the zoo there and force them further down, or take a couple parking stalls out, you would allow cars to get around the people trying to make a left.
Good feedback. Thank you. Kapahulu is a whole frontier. Kapahulu is a high injury corridor as well as Kuhio. We have been awarded federal funds to do sort of quick build, signing, being kind of solar powered flashing beacons at, I forget, I don't have the numbers, maybe 7 or 8 crosswalks along Kapahulu from Lemon all the way up. So something we'll be digging into in the coming years. Kapahulu needs a fair amount of safety treatments as well. So I appreciate that.
Greg.
Just wanted to add something very quickly to Tim's comments too. By the way, Tim's comments, John's comments are always some of the best and the most observant of issues that we have in the community. And when I served on the board, I recognize that. Uh, When you get on a double-decker bus, I don't know if this was mentioned and I missed it, I didn't hear it. The double-decker buses sometimes, well, quite often, they're going down the bus lane and then they have to veer off to the next lane because there's a tree and there's branches. So that happens quite often, and I'm not sure if anybody's gone down the whole street yet to clear the branches, or if that's even possible for some of the palms. But that's an issue that's, they're weaving back and forth within the traffic. So they're going in the regular lane as opposed to the bus lane just because of a tree. Is that something that's being looked at?
No, I had not heard of that. So we can talk, I'll bring that up tomorrow with our urban forestry folks. They're on our Complete Streets team along with our traffic engineer guys and everybody. So we can see if that's something maybe they can take care of.
Okay, yeah, all they have to do is jump on the pink line or one of the buses, and you'll see that they're going to have to swerve over at some points to get
And
to where
they're-
they need to go. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
They're city trees in the right of way.
They're on the sidewalk, and this was on Cohio. So we were going from one end of Cohio all the way down to where I live on right near Powell Street. So part of the journey was shifting over a bunch of times for the trees.
Yeah, that kind of defeats the whole point of having your own lane.
I don't see anything else. Renee, thank you for being with us tonight. Oh, where? Oh, there was. I'm sorry, Tim.
Hi, Renee. I just wanted to confirm, I understood you to say that as far as the left turns on Cohio, there's going to be a study by personnel. Is that correct?
We do those in-house to warrant left turn errors, phases, changes, signal phasing. So I think you guys submitted a monthly report like a month or two ago about that. And I think that was the response, was that that's being done in-house by our traffic engineers. And then if it's warranted, then it will go to another group for a capital project and for funding.
Okay. Is there going to be any opportunity for those of us who live here to actually communicate with a live person who knows what can and can't be done as far as these left turn arrows? I feel like there's a disconnect. And I also have the impression that my impression anyways, is that the concern is simply the time it takes the buses to get anywhere. And I just want to remind those that work for the city that there are other citizens who live in Waikīkī besides people who ride the bus, and we need to be considered as well. I personally find it very strange that we could lose half of our lanes and nobody even consider that the timing of the traffic signals needs to be changed. I've heard reference to Chinatown. They'll take one of the 4 lanes, turn it into a bus lane, and I'll talk about the success. But that's only 25% of the lanes gone instead of 50%. And the problem with only having 1 lane is you have nowhere to go. You can't go around people. So I just want to make sure that they're actually going to seriously look at each intersection and see how to me, I know it sounds simple, the solution, just make a left turn arrow just for a few seconds, just to give people a chance. I know it'll affect, the entire street, but if everybody is affected the same way, it shouldn't be that difficult, in my opinion. So anyways, it would be great if there was a way for those of us who live here to actually talk to a person, instead of like send an email and then a week later maybe get an answer, and then you have another question, another week goes by. It'd be nice to get an answer immediately, for somebody in person who could actually answer the questions we have. Thank you.
Any other questions for the city? If you have specific things that you want me to forward, send me an email. I'll forward it up to our office, so we can have it in writing what it is you want. Yes.
Hi, I was just wondering if, Shelley, if I could follow up on the question that we had to the city. I'm not sure if it was actually answered. I tried to have a look and see if there was anything on it, which was to do with the street sweeping down the other end of the Alawai Boulevard.
That's a different department.
Thank you.
I remember collaborating on the response. I don't think there was an overwhelming reason to change it. So unless there is a highly compelling reason, I don't think there's movement on that change at the moment, unless the board wants to make that a priority.
Right.
I will say one of our concerns is of course vehicle turnover. You know, that is one of the side benefits of street sweeping, other than the environmental water quality benefits, is that, you know, people don't leave their cars there for as long. So there's more turnover, more availability for the community.
Actually, what happens is there's people who need to be, need to have carers come on Mondays and Fridays before the weekends, and no one can get care in our building because you have to have your car out of the street from 8:30 to 11:30 so they can clean the street. And when they clean the street, it's actually dirtier than when they arrived. So I've taken several videos every week to prove that it doesn't actually need to be done twice a week. And it means that the older people in our 95-year-old people that need somebody to come to see them, they can't get parking and they can't stop there. So they've had to change the days that these people get care. And I think it's over the top that you would have 2 days a week, every 4 days, to clean a street that's not dirty. I understand you don't want the cars left there for long periods of time. Once a week would be fine. But we would never, all the residents never got asked about it, or we've asked several times at these meetings and we've never had anyone, like what you say, come and speak to the people. And we do have a petition but we don't know who to give it to because no one's actually ever spoken to us.
Yeah, it's DFM stormwater quality. A highly regulated area. EPA keeps a very close eye on the drainage system and encourages us to sweep as much as possible. So seeing given we're still having very quality issues in your area, maybe they might be more open to changing the days or the times, might have more traction. I don't know. But I'm happy to connect you with that staff if needed.
Anything else for Renee? See nothing. Thank you for being with us tonight.
Also say that I will also pass DFM the sidewalk repairs on Kuhio about them doing a poor job with the closed sidewalk traffic control plans. Pass that on tomorrow as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Mr. Kim, are you ready? We have a presentation about a renovation of a building on Saratoga Road.
Step back a little so everyone can have a good view. Is this coming through? Okay. Good evening. My name is Taeyong Kim. I'm with Environmental Communications, doing the entitlement planning for this project located at 235 Saratoga Road. I'm also joined by Mr. Takao Ugai of Focus Labo, the project architect for this property. So the project that I'd like to present tonight is located obviously at 235 Saratoga Road. Could we go to the next slide, Anson? It's the site of the former Kai Aloha Hotel and Apartments. The current building has 18 units, no parking. It was constructed in 1984, well before our current zoning regulations were promulgated. The Breakers Hotel is located in the Mauka direction, right next door. And the very large Kalai Hotel is located on the Makai side. Across the street is located Port Derusi, and an open parking lot along Lower Street, which is in commercial use, is located on the back side of the property. The property is currently not in use and it's somewhat of an eyesore. The owner is, of course, is well aware of this and has obtained a demolition permit to take down this building. But what's preventing action at the moment is Hawaiian Electric needs to go to the site and disconnect the energy lines. And the Board of Water Supply, I believe, also needs to do some shut off before the building can be taken down safely. Next slide. The property is 5,547 square feet in size. It's very tiny. It's located in the resort mixed-use precinct. The property is located in a zone that has a 300-foot height limit, but obviously that's out of the question. The entire area is located in flood zone AE. And of course, it's in the Waikīkī Special District, which is the reason that I'm here presenting this evening. And finally, the project, if it were to have been restored, would be an existing non-conforming structure. However, the plans are to take down the building and build a new building. Next slide. So the proposal is for transient vacation units, only 3 units, a total square footage of 2,906 square feet under roof. A single parking stall will be located where there is presently none. It has a very large front yard setback. It's intended for transient vacation use. So it is essentially a building that is owned by a private owner, but will be rented out because there are 3 units, hotel units within the building. It is in an area that is, of course, is short-term rental legal, and the project will incorporate extensive landscaping. If I can point out a few things, all of the area in blue is actually a large swimming pool water feature area. Along Saratoga Road, you'll see that where there is no landscaping, there will be probably 6 Manila palm, dwarf palms, which seem to be rhinoceros beetle resistant. Landscaping will be incorporated around the boundaries of the site. Next slide, please. This is what the building will appear like from Saratoga Road. So Kalai is to the right, the Breakers to the left. There is, of course, that single wall parking stall. The facade, the initial facade will be a wall. And right now it's envisioned to be covered in some sort of creeping plant like an ivy. So that will provide some screening and will, of course, provide much more foliage and greenery around this fairly dry stretch of land. Next slide, please. The entrance to the building is on the right side of the building. So this is a photo of the entryway. And that wall to the right with ivy on it is the boundary line between the property and Kalai. Next slide. This is from behind the front wall. This is what the building will appear to look like once you're behind the privacy wall. Left side is the Breakers Hotel, although it's rendered in white for purposes of just demonstrating what this building will be like. As you can see, it's of contemporary form, but it incorporates a lot of natural material. There's a lot of wood finishes in here. There is a lot of glass because it is in a somewhat sunlit We want a lot of light in there because it exists in the shadows of Hawaii. Next slide, please. This is its appearance from the back side. So if nothing ever gets built in the back property along Lures, this is what would be seen from Lures Street. As you can see, there's a breezeway between two halves of the building. The portion on the left consists of the community facilities, basically a large entertainment area, a kitchenette type of thing. And then on the right side, there would be one unit located on the ground floor and 2 units on the top. Breezeway would connect the upper units to the gym and entertainment area. Lower one has access through a set of stairs that are shown in this breezeway. And I think that's our last slide. Yep. So I'd like to open it up to questions.
Questions, Jeff?
Thanks. Great presentation and succinct. We always appreciate that. It looks from my perspective, I do like the design personally, and I think it would comply with the a lot of the criteria in the design criteria for Waikīkī. Are you guys going to be required to do an environmental assessment as part of your?
That's exactly why I'm here, because this is to let you know that an environmental assessment is nearing completion and
Great.
will be made public, where you will have an opportunity to review the document and provide comments in writing.
Excellent. And that's reviewable by everyone. So I would recommend when that is published that we just
Yes.
we're notified, then we can.
And the environmental assessment will include a number of appendices or discussions, including archaeological monitoring plan, just in case, right? We have the geotechnical study in there. We also have phase 1 environmental study in the document.
Yeah, and I guess the we'll review the EA, and it'll be disclosed in the EA. But do you need to vary from the code? Certainly, there's a 300-foot height limit here. You're not going to exceed that, but there's also a floor area ratio.
Yes.
Is there any? I guess simply, is there any? Are you requesting any variances for this?
There will be no variances for
Great.
this.
Okay, that's all the questions I had. Thank you.
Why only one parking stall?
That's all that's required, but essentially the anticipated guest who will stay there will not require parking. I mean, it's so close to all of the goods and services that you may need. Everything's in walking distance. And also the idea is that it's 3 units. I think having more parking would probably, first of all, detract from the appearance of the site. And second, there's a good chance that the people who stay won't necessarily require a car long term. They can always rent one very literally on the back street on Lures.
And then are you having a staff or no staff?
No
The
staff.
gym, pool?
No staff. Right. It will, of course, be maintained, but there's 3 units. It doesn't warrant a lobby, a manager.
Aloha. So I was going through your slides that you had in the Google Drive. Thank you for submitting that. It makes it a lot easier. So I was confused. On one of the slides, it said this is proposed use multifamily lodging units, but it's actually going to be.
It's TVU. I was actually corrected by the architect today. It's a transient vacation unit, which is really a hotel room.
Gotcha. And it's just 3 rooms?
3.
Okay.
3. So it's probably on the higher end. It's
yeah.
not someplace that I'm probably going to stay.
Because it was originally like 18 rooms I was reading.
It was 18 rooms.
Great. I have to say the design looks much better than the the design now. So I do appreciate that. And I'm glad there aren't any variances. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Other questions for Mr. Kim? Don't see any. We look forward to the EA, and as Outrigger found out when they built the Beach Walk project, you might check to make sure there's no hidden gas line under there.
Gas lines? Well noted.
They We're digging and they found it. It's not in the plans or anything. It's just, it was there.
We stand advised. We'll double check.
Yeah, please do. Thank you for the presentation. We look forward to your hearing. Next on our agenda, we have the request to establish a public safety committee. Jillian, would you like to explain what this is about?
Sure. So I do have an explanation regarding the proposal, but I guess I'll start first properly with a motion to put this on the table. So I move to create a committee on public safety with myself serving as chair and as members Lisa Cabanero, Tim Hike, Daniel Jacob, and Jacob Winsek.
Okay, there's second. Further discussion. What is this committee going to do?
Yes, so the intention of this proposed committee would be to provide a dedicated place for our board members, HPD, other public safety related entities, and members of the public to be able to express their concerns and brainstorm solutions regarding issues that are repeatedly raised at our monthly board meetings. Tonight, along with nearly every other meeting, we can see that there's a great interest in discussing these topics. So the specific goal would be to provide a forum as a subset of our typical neighborhood board for the public to engage and learn about significant public safety related projects. That would include things like Safe and Sound Waikīkī or other projects, say under the Waikīkī Business Improvement District or the State Department of Law Enforcement, as we've heard about in the past. Essentially, this committee would create another opportunity for those interested to solely focus on public safety matters as a collective. The proposed frequency of these committee meetings would be once every 2 months. We would also explore the possibility of having this committee serve as a more reactive forum for one-off events impacting public safety that are yet to transpire. Our committee would follow all the neighborhood board commission rules necessary for compliance, including creating agendas, determining accessible meeting places, creating minutes, and more related to the proper execution. As an output of the public meetings organized by this committee, we would then come back to our monthly board meetings and provide reports to the board at large. We would offer resolutions to support or oppose public safety related projects and initiatives on horizon for our community, and also propose ideas for legislation based on discussions at these meetings to then relate to our state and city elected officials. As I mentioned before, the proposed members to help with organizing these meetings would include myself as chair, Lisa Cabanero, Tim Hike, Daniel Jacob, and Jacob Winsek. These individuals would provide well-rounded leadership to this committee, each having a unique perspective, yet a unified interest in making our community a safer place for all. So I thank all of you for your consideration of this committee, and to my fellow board members and members of the public, thank you for being willing to serve and participate should this be established tonight, and I look forward to hearing everyone's thoughts through our discussion.
Okay, I understand we have a motion on the floor. Is there further discussion? Sarah.
Can I say hallelujah? I'm so glad you're getting this going, because I've spoken to a number of other boards, and one of the biggest places they get resolutions from is from committees. So I'm really glad you're leading this, and yeah, thank goodness.
Further discussion? Nate?
How would this impact the reports that we get from the first responder agencies that we get on a monthly basis at these regular board meetings?
This was ideally to just be a supplement to that, so we wouldn't see any changes ideally at our monthly board meetings here, and it would just be another opportunity maybe to get additional reports or dig in deeper to some of those stats.
Jeff?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jillian. Normally, I'm not a huge fan of what I call committing things to death, but what you just described to me sounds like a good idea, like a clearinghouse for these types of related things, and then your committee would, again, it would be a clearinghouse. It'd be a better way to maybe organize it. Maybe redundancies, I don't know, but let's try it out. Seems like you thought this out, so I'm going to vote for it.
Further discussion? Yes, ma'am.
Just want to know how the public would get involved in this on a regular basis, or how would they know what was going on? How will we be informed about it so that we know what we want to get involved in?
So even though this is a committee comprised of 4 members of our board and 1 member of the public, every meeting would be open to the public. So it would be something just like this, possibly in this community center where the public could come and participate. We are going to be seeking what are the best avenues to distribute the information on meetings. So this board would be a perfect way for us to say, okay, our next meeting is on this day. Also, I think it would be a good idea to have a certain frequency once we can secure a location to be able to say it's every second Tuesday of the month like we do for this.
And our neighborhood commission will take care of sending out your agenda to the public. So you have a worker here. Put in the work.
Mostly we would also do a mail out. So what we do normally for our agendas, and we also will post it onto our website. So that's where you can find also.
Daniel, you had something? Okay. Greg, you had something?
Aloha again, Greg Masakian. I think it's a great idea to have a committee. I know this committee was mentioned before it was attempted to be organized. There was concerns raised at that point that one of the board members, I'm not even going to name him at this point, but was saying very detrimental things against the police, and that person is currently one of the names that you've placed on there. A few things I'm going to mention with my limited time. I just formed 3 committees, or our board formed 3. Let me rephrase that. Our board formed 3 committees yesterday for the Kukua Council, and motions were made, but nobody said, I'm going to be the chair of the committee and blah, blah, blah. It's organic. The chair should be voted on for any committee so that it's clear. And if there's pre-discussions about this committee, we also have the Sunshine Law that you have to be aware of. So I'm not being critical, but I am, because if there's pre-discussions with board members about who's going to be on the committee, there's Sunshine Law concerns with that. It should, again, be organic. With that said, if you do have a meeting, I do believe you have to record it, and there'd be a cost. So I'm not sure on committees for the neighborhood boards, just like this is recorded. That's something to look at. And I just want to continue through. You guys can answer the questions after. So that's a concern. The agenda, would it go out to all members of the public who are currently getting the neighborhood board agenda for the Waikīkī board? So that's another question. And again, I do have concerns about the previous attempt to form this committee with a set group of people. I think you should open it up, and everybody, including the public who are interested, should have an opportunity to be on the committee. Thank you.
So luckily, I spoke with Lloyd months ago about this. And one thing that's great now that we're doing video summaries is that if you just record it, say you have your phone, just record it. It doesn't have to be WebEx. You don't have to have that sort of format. As long as you record it, you can do that little video summary where they just say, here's the agenda topic, questions and link followed, and you timestamp it. That's all you needed. And then Lloyd said that they'd be willing to post that onto YouTube. So that would meet the whole minutes requirement. So that was a huge help. And
Thanks for that, Sarah. Yeah, Greg, your concerns regarding membership's completely fair. I think that just in general, we see that we have these issues coming up again and again at our meetings. So we kind of just want to get started and start to have these separate meetings to be able to dig into that. If the board wants to amend the motion and decide whoever the chair is at maybe the first meeting of the committee, that's fine. I think being that the intention is to just be able to create public forums and have everyone involved at each meeting, really the committee membership is really to schedule those meetings. We'd be open to even the agenda creation coming from the public as well, coming from the remainder of the board as well. So it's really just a way for us to have a group who is dedicated to all that back end work. And then when it actually comes to brainstorming and being involved, that would be open to everyone.
could we start a sign up sheet starting today? So that way, like I know Gloria wanted to be on it. Would that be possible? I'm assuming this is going to pass, but if it does, I have a piece of paper. You can have people here like, hey, do you want to sign up? Next time we have first meeting, you'll be on the mailing list to make sure you're notified. So that way we make sure that no one's missed here.
Any further discussion? We have a motion on the floor. Do you have the motion? He has the motion. I'll take a roll call vote on the formation of this Public Safety Committee as presented by Jillian.
Okay, so when I call your name, please say yes, no, or abstain for the formation of a public safety committee with Jillian Anderson as chair. And I forgot what, Lisa Carbonaro.
Tim Hike, Daniel Jacob, and Jacob Winsek.
Okay. So can Lisa, okay. Okay, Amu? Oh, can you use the mic?
Yes.
Okay. Anderson?
Yes.
Okay. Nordahl?
Yes.
Okay. Carbonaro?
Yes.
Okay. Dabs? Oh, wait, he's here. D. Orazio?
You got it. Yes.
Okay. Other checks on here. Philip?
Yes.
Okay. Finley? Okay, he said yes. Hike?
Yes.
Okay. Daniel Jacob? Okay, he said yes. Ken Jacob? Said yes. Jeffrey Mers?
Yes.
Okay. Nate Sirota?
Yes.
Okay. Shannon Smith?
Yes.
Okay. And Sarah Worth?
Yes, 1,000 times, yes.
Yep. The motion is adopted.
So Chair Anderson, I'll have this on the agenda each month, space for your report of what you're doing. If you have a report, if you don't have a report, that's fine, but I'll block space so that if you do have a report, it can be made. Next on the agenda is minutes. Are there any corrections to the August 12th meeting minutes? Yeah, Sarah.
I apologize. I saw on the agenda later that I have to have it 48 hours in advance. These are just minor, just a, what's it called? Shucks, spelling corrections or a name clarification. The only thing that would be different, I would like to, once again, make sure it's clear who's testifying by WebEx. That's the only thing I'd like to see happen again. Everyone's okay with that.
So you can send those corrections to Anson. Yes. Go ahead.
My name's misspelled, my first name. Yeah, no worries.
It's only a few months into the new term. I don't even remember my own name half the time anyway. Any other corrections to the minutes? Seeing no other corrections. Motion to accept the minutes as corrected. Show of hands, all in favor. What? Go ahead, ask your question.
So on section 5, meeting time and place rules of speaking, adoption of rules of speaking. And on that section, and I was curious about this because on the last board, the number of minutes to speak was set for the public and for the board. And I noticed today that the timer is being set for the public, but not for the board. So I just wanted to clarify, was that rule for both parties, the board and the public?
We've just got this new toy tonight and we haven't mastered it yet. So it will be for everybody. Okay, so who was the second on that? Jeff, will you? Oh. And show of hands, all in favor. Any opposed? Any abstentions? So unanimous. Jeff, anything happening in Sub-District 1?
Yeah, I talked about the roosters. That was all I had for Sub-District 1, so I'm good to go.
Jillian, anything from Sub-District 2? Catherine has surgery today, so she won't have a report Sub-District 3, but we certainly had a lot of information passed about the noise on Kapahulu and the bus lane and that sort of thing tonight. Sarah, you had something you needed to say.
I'm so sorry. I know that I texted you. It was a probably a couple meetings ago, but the hotel strike, because I noticed that, I don't know, if anyone else has noticed in Sub-District 1, you can hear them chanting again. So, yeah, I was wondering if you could follow up on that. I know it was a couple of months ago that I asked, but that'd be awesome. Thanks.
Chair report. So far, I've been able to secure this room and our support from the city on November 4th, which is the week prior to Veterans Day. The rest of the month is pretty much got 3 or 4 board meetings a night. And staffing is not available to come in and help us for our meeting. So on our next agenda, I will put it for a vote if we want to have our meeting November 4th instead of on Veterans Day, which we can't have because the building will not be open and that sort of thing. So I've worked through all of the various agencies to this point. And having gone through that, we will go into our recess. We need help putting away the tables and chairs, everybody. Thank you so much.